Hey, what's good, everybody? Hold on. Something like that. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man, Nicholas Wildstar, aka the Governor, here with the Governor Wildstar exclusive. I appreciate any and all of you that are watching right now. Come one, come all into the session. We're going to have a great conversation here shortly. But first, you know what to do. I got to make a few announcements. If you are watching out there on YouTube, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you can receive notifications for any future videos that I'm going to be dropping. As you guys know, I am a candidate running for California governor, so it is difficult for me to set a set schedule as to when I'm going to be, putting these videos out. But it will be sporadic. It will be periodic. So if you want to make sure you're not missing these videos, please be sure to subscribe ASAP, okay? If you're watching on Facebook, be sure to follow and all of that good stuff so you can receive notifications there as well. And if you're not doing either, head on over to my website, wildstar2022.com. Be sure to click on any of those icons for Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, so you can connect with me and we can, of course, keep each other informed of what's going on and grow our audience and bring more awareness to these issues that we're going to be talking about here, okay? All of you guys out there watching, please be sure to drop some comments like the ones here I got so far. Euban, who says he's tuned in and ready for some freedom. All right, Euban, thank you for being here, as well as Yeshua, who says, sup. He got a 5-year-old freestyle for him to be here. So thank you for being here, Yeshua. Hello to Naomi and Mariah. Thank you all for being here and watching as well. And Hardbody, my man Hardbody is here checking in. What's up to you, Playboy? I appreciate you for being in the building and watching also. So as you guys can see from the title of this chat, it's called Frauds and Faketarians. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. So those political frauds out there that pretend to be for the people and by the people and all that good stuff, as well as those so-called libertarians, don't really seem like libertarians. So I thought we could discuss this a bit more with a local libertarian that I know of. His name is Marcus Ruiz Evans, and he's also the president of Yes California, and he's here with me now. Marcus, thank you for being here with me, my man.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to watch you, dude. You're a pro. I mean, you just got in right away. You're just like, subscribes, this, that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I got to hit him with the info, real fast.
But
I learned real quick. Thank you. I had lots of training too, doing all of these Black Side of Liberty podcasts and Governor Wildstar exclusives, Black Side of Liberty, Long Live Liberty show. It goes way back. So for all of you out there that haven't seen any of my videos, please be sure to do as much research into them as possible. I got an extensive catalog there. So pop some popcorn and enjoy. But as I said, I got my man MRE right here from Yes California, and a fellow Cal Exit activist pushing for California independence. Right? Yeah.
That's right.
That's what we're here for, man, to make sure that we're, again, representing for we the people of California first and foremost, right?
Yes, absolutely, every day.
And it seems like right now that's what's happening with our federal government. If we could talk a little bit about them and what they're doing, because people want to talk about all of the kids in cages that were happening when Trump was in office. Well, guess what's happening right now, people? There are more kids in cages, and we still have kids in cages. Now they're calling them, what is it? Containment centers. Yeah. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the hypocrisy with that, because I saw a video of Ted Cruz going around where he's like in the bushes acting like he's doing some incognito, investigative journalism, and supposedly exposing all of what's going on with the border crisis. But mum is the word when Trump was in office. Why do you think that is that, you know, all of a sudden the Republicans and people on the right supposedly are concerned with what's going on? Are they doing it for political theater, or what say you?
It's it's theater, but I think it's appropriate. I think it's highly appropriate. So they're pointing out the hypocrisy of the way that Trump was covered by the media. And I don't like Trump, never voted for him, not a fan. But I do get what they're talking about, that, hey, you said that these things were horrible. Okay, I'll take you at your word. They're still happening. In fact, I read I think it was an ABC TV station punched out an article on the border, and they said that it is, they miss the characterizations and slight nuances, and it's unfair to compare Biden to Trump. But literally in that article is the sentence, although the conditions are similar, the policies are very different. So what they're saying is, okay, it looks bad. There's kids in cages basically still, but they're plastic sheeting. But people, the policy is very different. So Biden is not intentionally separating parents and kids. And so therefore, it's completely different. And they literally said in an ABC TV article talking about how people are blowing this way out of proportion, and it's nothing like Trump. The quote was in, although conditions are similar to 2018. Although conditions are similar to 2018. They literally admit it in their puff piece to say there's nothing here going on. So what does it matter to these kids in cages that the policy on the law books is different? You're a child in a cage.
Exactly. It is extremely contradictory. And as much as you want to pat the Republicans on the back for bringing, you know, attention to the issue, it's, to me, it's hypocritical, because before all of this, it was a non-issue to you. You used it as a way to deter people away from the what Trump was doing. You're like, no, don't look at that. Look over here. And now that Biden is in office, you're like, no, look over here. You know, now you want us to pay attention to the issue. So it's like you're using it as this political football, just like with the whole pandemic panic crisis, is to toss it back and forth when it benefits you politically. You know, and who knows, you know, now because they're saying coronavirus could be seasonal due to these variants that they're having, you know, we should expect waves of it to be happening each year. So who knows, you know, next year the Republicans can be using it again as a way to say, you know, the lockdowns are still being imposed on us. People aren't dropping like flies, you know, and use it as a political tool, and where the Democrats may use it as a political tool to enforce mandatory vaccinations and, you know, a passport to travel. So we're already seeing how these issues are being used politically to sway us in one way or another. And it's sad that we're seeing that happen now with the crisis at the border. And another issue I wanted to talk to you about is the current trial of Derek Chauvin, the police officer who killed George Floyd, because that's also causing this back and forth tilting between the left and the right. So if you guys don't know, the police.
If you don't know, did you see a man murdered live on TV and then told, it's cool, nothing to see here, the system is working?
Right.
Snuff film.
Exactly.
And there's a trial? We need a trial.
The worst part about the trial is having to see the video over and over and over. It's like each witness that they bring up, they show the video, or whether it's a portion or the entire thing, and it's just heart-wrenching to hear. You know, even when the trial is on, when they go to cut to the video, I have to mute it. You know, I have to mute it and walk away because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I've seen it enough.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that there are still people that are not convinced that this officer did anything wrong. Uh, Based on your perception and what you've witnessed over this past year, not only seeing, the reaction from the public when this first happened, but also seeing them now, what do you think is going to happen when he's exonerated? Because I'm predicting, hey, I'm predicting right now that cop, he's gonna get off, you guys. He's not going to be sent to jail. What do you think gonna happen?
Not laughing at the situation, I'm laughing at your phrasing. Like it was,
right.
You had it there for a second. I was thinking it was a real question. Yeah, it was a soft. What is your opinion when you think delicately of the laws and given a review of these past cases? When he gets off, what's going to happen? Yeah.
I want you to tell me that. What you think? Already
that's what I was going to say was like, okay, well, he's going to get off. And then I figured you'd have some other, okay. Yeah. So once he gets off, it's going to be, what's going to happen. It's going to be the same old thing. There's going to be a lot of protests. There's going to be people upset. Some people are going to get hurt, and not a goddamn thing's going to change legally.
Yeah.
Sorry to curse.
Oh, no. This is a non-PC, program. So we're not trying to be politically correct. And if you guys are expecting us to be, you're on the wrong place. But I'm with you, man. Nothing's going to happen. Like Hardbody said, George Floyd killers will get off, and we, the people, will be heartbroken and upset about it. Now, when it comes to protesting in the streets and rioting and civil unrest, that's to be expected as well. I think if anything is going to be heightened, since they're already kind of stoking the fire of that by having this discussion. I seen an interview with Van Jones and with Cuomo, and he was asking them, what's going to happen after this, and he was already predicting, it's going to be more riots in the streets and people upset once he is vindicated for doing his job, because that's pretty much what they're doing, is saying he did his job, and that's in making sure that we behave a certain way, and particularly Black people. I did a recent interview.
And brown, and brown in certain cities, the death rate is just as high for brown people.
But they view as minorities. We need to behave a certain way, or else we will be treated as subhumans, and be treated inhumanely. That's exactly what happened with George Floyd. That's what happened with me, with the corrective measures that the law system attempted to take by by sentencing me for exercising my right to record. And that's what it is. The law system is being used to penalize us and discipline us in behaving a certain way. And again, predominantly people of color. That's what I wanted to say. So recently I did this interview with these guys from Rebel Radio, right? And one of the interviews, right? What's up to you guys? Thank you for having me on. I appreciate that. They gave me an opportunity to speak with them and be heard, despite us having, differences in opinion. So I appreciate them again for at least opening up their platform to give me an opportunity to speak and be heard. So I encourage you guys to check out that video, definitely. Yes, Yeshua, and he was there for sure. And so he got to see it close up firsthand. But this guy wanted to interview. What's that?
It was right at the beginning. So when you should go watch it. It's right at the beginning of the show.
Oh, yeah.
But Wildstar. What?
I said we didn't waste time jumping into things.
Yeah, like they got right into it. But don't stop listening after Wildstar leaves because they have commentary about the governor after for a few minutes. And I think it's highly educational and highly informative about how people perceive your candidacy.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Well, yeah, I mean, this guy, as much as we had conflicting views, one of them being about how black people should behave, you can hear in his tone and his response to say, you people have a problem with authority. And this is why you people need to do something about it. He's not realizing that these people are taxpayers and are paying to have a service provided to them by law enforcement, which are police officers. So why should we be the one that conduct ourselves a certain way when we're paying professionals to conduct themselves in a higher manner, you know? But in this exchange with him, we also talked about Derek Chauvin, you know, and he said, well, yeah, even though the guy was wrong and kneeling down on his head and, you know, it was a use of excessive force, George Floyd was a shitbag and he had drugs in his system and yada, yada, yada. So, and to me, I just equate that as he deserved to die because XYZ, even though this person is paid to do a specific job. Do you think
it was murder? That argument's salacious and full of illogical premise based upon two things. One is that it was clearly murdered. We all saw that. So let's just start with the offense. Occam's razor, go back to the original Western education concepts that make us a civilized society. When you see something and you know what it is, you call it. So right. That's what it is. Start there. So he was clearly murdered. You can watch the video. I wouldn't recommend watching it more than once. I think it destroys you and it destroys your soul to watch it. Although I do think everybody who's an adult should watch it at least one time, just to see that this happens in America. It was a big wake-up call. Yes, you can be murdered in broad daylight. Sorry. It's just...
No, you good.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Like, I just did a speech today on this, and I covered literally the same two things. And I think it's interesting that you're a Californian and I'm a Californian, and we kind of saw the same thing. And it was like, you said that everything was going to be better when Trump's gone. It's a repudiation of all that ugliness, the soul of America, his return to decency. And it's still, the guy can murder someone on TV, and which is bad enough on its own. So white people, like, seriously, he murdered someone on TV. You should be worried about yourself. 2, there's a history of racial prejudice in that police department, particularly going back decades in that area. And there's many cities that have this issue, although not all cities do. So that makes it almost look like it's intentional murder. And 3, the so what? You know, what did I do attitude? I mean, right after this came out, they didn't even show the video originally, and then when it came out, they were like, "Yeah, he's following procedure." You know, like, get over it. And it's like, whoa! Even if that's true, the attitude of, yeah, he died. Let's move it on. I mean, initially that was the stance they took, and it was just for those 3 reasons. This is wrong, and it's not going to get fixed, and it's because the Democratic Party is permanently cemented to the police officers union, and you're not going to be able to convict these cops until I have family in law enforcement. There are many great law enforcement people. There are many people trying to just serve. I love you. Thank you for doing that. And there are also sociopaths. I'm sorry. Any industry, there's a mixture. There are some straight up sociopaths who are using this to get away. And I think they enjoy killing. I think they get away with it, and they know that they can. Now, not every cop does that, but it's like the military. If you talk to any vet, and there's many great people in the military too, but there are some straight up killers who go in. Yeah. And if you talk to any vet, you know what I mean? Like, if you talk to a vet after a beer or two and you go like, blah, 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 and they go, yes, many people are disciplined. And then there's a good chunk of people who are there to kill and know they can get away with it if they follow the orders. Well, why would the police force be different?
Exactly. It's funny that you bring that up because during this interview, I also brought up to the interview that I planned on ending qualified immunity, which he was disgusted with since he was a former law enforcement officer. But I brought up about what you just said about our military personnel. I said, what was it about the soldiers during Vietnam that felt like they could rape women, kill innocent people, women and children, and not be disciplined for it? Qualified immunity would allow them that opportunity to do all of these horrible things and not face any type of consequences because of that. Police departments, law enforcement works no differently. If you hire, pardon me, if you need to get a surgery done and you have a doctor operating on you and they do something wrong, well, guess what? That doctor can be sued for malpractice.
Right.
If they fuck up. Pardon my French to the people that are struck,
Right.
taken aback by such language. But uh,
Bilingual.
if you had qualified immunity, in the surgery room, then now the doctor can do all types
Right.
of shit, and it could possibly lead to your death, and nothing would happen to them. There would be no disciplinary action whatsoever. And the qualified immunity in this case is what's going to protect Derek Chauvin and the rest of the officers that killed George Floyd.
That's a brilliant analysis. That is a brilliant analysis. And I know it's going to rattle some people. So I thought ahead before I came on the show. I am a cisgendered male. I like girls, but I did get this jewelry from my mom. It's a pearl necklace. And this is so I could rattle this pearl necklace and clutch it because guess what? When you come on Wildstar show, there's going to be some controversial shit coming out. Like, oh, what did he say? What qualified immunity? Cops are killers, but military.
I know, right?
Some police officers are killers. Some military personnel are killers. Many are not. Many are trying to serve him. But you've given them all this blanket saying you can get away with killing someone if you do it the right way.
Right. And like how do we change the culture to where that won't happen? You know what I mean? There is nothing wrong with being against police brutality. Just because I have a problem with people getting killed or harmed by police officers and them abusing their oath does not mean I'm against police officers, period. There's a big difference there. And unfortunately, because of the mainstream media, they feel as if whenever you critique the law enforcement that you're against them totally, because it's this all or nothing type of mentality. It's extremely fascist, and both the right and the left do it as well. So the way that we can get away from that as the public is to start having these conversations, first and foremost, and also coming to an agreement where we do. And it's that we don't want to be paying for our police officers to be killing people and, harming them when their job is to protect them. And as people of the Black community, that's a big problem, is because we're paying for supposedly protective services that we're not getting. And you're right. When you come on my show, I'm definitely going to be speaking about controversial issues. And I've been told by someone, a great libertarian, Mark Hurd, he said, don't feel bad to talk about controversial issues because they need to be talked about in order for us to deal with them, so we shouldn't shy away from it. But
how are you supposed to be a leader if you can't cover controversial issues, right? You're running for office. Right. You're asking people to follow you. Follow me because I only talk about things everyone agrees with.
Right. Yeah. And the one thing about his trial is it's being broadcast publicly. And one thing about my recent trial was I was on trial for recording my court case and making it public. But yet we're seeing that happen right now. So a few things about my trial is I made a request, a media request to have someone there recording it in court. The media request was denied. Okay. So everybody, if you ever want to publicly record in court, you can file a document. It's like an MC 500, and it's basically a request again to record court proceedings. And it's at the discretion of every court, at least in California, to approve or deny that request. We see that more than often denied in private matters, or like with me. But here we go with Derek Chauvin. All right, I'm about to show you guys this because I feel like it plays a tremendous role in what's going on with me in our country. Look at who's broadcasting the Chauvin trial. It's NBC News. NBC News has a YouTube channel. They're broadcasting videos. I'm sure their channel is monetized, and they're receiving payments for broadcasting a public trial. My trial was public. My media request was denied. Why? You know, was it because NBC and CNN and Fox, all of those people were not there? It was it because what was happening to me wasn't considered high profile, or because I'm not a well-known candidate that I wasn't afforded the same opportunities as they're taking advantage of with the Chauvin trial? But it's sad that, again, we can have application of law for some, but not for all. What I was saying about my trial being broadcast publicly when I was on trial for recording in court, there's a big contradiction. Also, with this one, I want to play a small portion of this to you, okay? I don't know if you saw this, but this witness on the stand, but this is an EMT personnel. She was one of the EMTs that responded to the George Floyd killing, right? She's given her testimony, and there was a portion of it where she added some extra information after she had spoken, right? I'll play it for you here because I want you guys to see this part of it, because it kind of struck me when I heard the language used here. So just listen and watch, please. Damn it. See, they have it monetized.
Right. It happens to me too. They did it on my show too. They did it on my show too. I was right in the middle of something. I was showing something totally unrelated, and they put it some, yeah. And
right.
I'm like,
they get to make money off of it, man.
What is this? Yeah.
What were you about to say?
Just like what is that? What is Tresemme is thinking that women's shampoo, people who really like Liberty, are big female shampoo buyers? I mean, is that what's
right. I
like,
guess
what?
Hey, they can make their money however they do. They got advertising.
Sure, I'm just saying. I guess you have a yeah, okay.
Right. All right, so check out this part right here. This was right after she had said something, and the judge is clearing out the courtroom, okay?
Counsel remain. Witness remain.
Counsel remain, witness remain. Tell the jurors to leave the courtroom. All right, here we go. Listen up, people.
We're outside the hearing of the jury, Ms. Hanson. I'm advising you, do not argue with counsel, and specifically, do not argue with the court.
Is the cameras on? Are the cameras on?
No, they're not. We're on the record.
Did you hear that? He said, don't
Argue with the
don't argue with the court. She responds, are the cameras on? He says no, but we're on the record. So everything that he's saying after this point, he's assuming the cameras are off. He said the cameras aren't on, you know, but it's on the record. I'll play it again so you can hear it.
Court. Do not argue with counsel, and specifically, do not argue with the court.
Is the cameras on? Are the cameras on?
No, they are not. We are on the record.
Okay.
You will not argue with the court. You will not argue with counsel.
Mm-hmm.
They have the right to ask questions. Your job is to answer them.
I was finishing my answer.
Look at his demeanor. Look at how he shifted himself to basically say, who's talking here? Who's the one in charge? You listen
Right.
to me. You do what I say. Okay.
I will determine when your answer is done.
Okay, well,
And so do not argue with the court. Do not argue with counsel. Answer the questions. Do not volunteer information that is not requested. The attorneys for the state have redirect. They can ask you questions if they think that certain things are up to with counsel.
I see your face. Why are you looking like that, Marcus? Can you tell me? Did you hear what I heard?
Well, so let me take a wild guess, but here we have, this is a court case which is supposed to be balanced and neutral, and maybe the cop is taken down, maybe he's not, maybe Floyd wins justice, totally blind justice, right? And here's the judge saying, how dare you give additional information that could possibly help Floyd get justice? You do nothing more than the prosecutor asks. And when we look at your trial, it was very clear to me that the judge and the prosecutor for Orange County were in cahoots. Now, again, not every judge and prosecutor is like that. Some systems are fair. But if you watch hours and hours of your thing, I mean, that prosecutor kept going, private counsel with the judge. Mm-hmm. Right after he tried some argument against you and it failed, you wait 1 or 2 minutes and then he goes, private counsel with judge. I mean, that guy was taking all sorts of private counsels with judge. The judge let him interrupt your defense attorney multiple times with closing statements. He let him make 2 statements and a closing one. They defined the case against you the way the prosecution wanted. That was the judge's orders. It was very clear that there was a strong coordination between the judge in your case and the prosecution in your case, who are not supposed to be working as a unified body, other than observing the similar rules. And we're seeing the exact same thing in a totally different American conservative city, might add, where the judge is doing the same thing with the prosecutor on the behalf of the police and the law enforcement against what could be called justice. Why is it wrong to provide information? How is that bad? Additionally,
and he even said, you answer the way I tell you to. She's the witness. Yeah. You're supposed to be a neutral party. Your job is just to hear her out. You aren't working for the prosecutor's department office. You aren't working for the defense attorney. So if anything, it would be witness coercing, you know, because he's telling her, don't say too much. Like you said, zip your lip. I'm going to tell you when to speak, and don't do anything outside of that. So now, if the prosecutor is talking to her, they would be the one instructing her, look, say XYZ. Don't give too much information. Your attorney is the one that tells you that. I know from personal experience. They're the ones that tell you don't divulge too much information. But here in this video, you see a judge is doing that. And he's clearly acting in a way to where he's feeling like she's threatening him, you know, based off of her responses, because he takes on this authoritarian role. You know, you see his body posture shift, where he basically felt like, hey, you have an attitude, you're undermining my authority now. And since I'm the one who runs the courtroom, you listen to me. So just one more time, I want you guys to hear this, because this is a very key part, because he's acting in a way that's dictatorial over court proceedings, which is supposed to be a set, you know, way of doing things. But when she asks specifically, are we on camera? And he says, no, you know, he's under the impression that they're no longer being televised right now, when actually they are. So everything that he says afterwards is in a way to where he doesn't think the public is seeing it, but it's on the record.
So you do not argue with the court.
Is the camera on? Are the cameras on?
No, they're not. We are on the record.
Okay.
You will not argue with the court. You will not argue with counsel.
Mhm.
They have the right to ask questions. Your job is to answer them.
I was finishing my answer.
Look at that.
I will determine
Yep.
when your answer is done.
Okay.
I will determine when your answer is done. So she doesn't even get to speak fully, or honestly, as she would like. She's being told, hey, I'm going to tell you when to speak, when to shut up, etc., etc. So
How would he know the answer is complete? He's not
Exactly.
the subject matter. That's why you have a witness, and they give the answer. And this is also completely, I mean, first off, what he did was called the Cobra. So if you saw his body, his hand was up, open. In this hand, if you're facing, so it was this hand. One hand was up, palm open. That shows basically I'm open to you and I'm not trying to be offensive. When she goes, okay, and I did follow your orders. Then he was like, oh, okay, well, you're not hearing me. Then he shifted. The arms come up in a pyramid, which is a subconscious way of making the body appear to be larger. Leaning in is threatening her personal space. So it's very much a domineering position in order to say, you better listen to me, and how dare you give additional information, which I find highly unusual because they have a process for dealing with that, and the lawyer was apparently aware of it.
right.
The record can have material information stricken from it. So if she is giving information and it doesn't file with the
Exactly.
rules, they could just have it stricken after the word. She
Right.
does not have to censor herself, and it is highly unusual to tell somebody who is there to provide information, I determined if you answered or not. How would
Right.
you know?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a lot of weird shit going on. This is what I'm saying. These little subtle things are what's going to, again, add to him not being charged with murder.
It demonstrates bias and potential collusion.
Exactly. And you made the correlation by saying, those same things that they're doing and manipulating the language being used and the tonality of the courtroom. They did that here with George Floyd. I mean, in his Chauvin's trial, they did it with me as well.
Yeah,
They
you can see it
also
on,
did, what's that?
you can see it on video.
Yeah, exactly. You can see it on video. What they also did was they attempted to moderate the defense, in this case. The defense attorney, if you guys don't know, his name is Eric Nelson. He works for a private firm that receives millions of dollars to represent police officers. So here's an actual article that I found. His name, Eric Nelson, again. He is working with a firm that is backed by a police union and has received over $1 million so far. So it says here, his attorney the prosecution is the Minnesota General Office. His defense attorney, his name is Keith Nelson, or Eric Nelson. Okay. And the Minnesota attorney, his name is Keith Ellison. So right now they're basically stacking up his defense team and putting out this Eric Nelson guy is like the face, when really they have like a dozen attorneys behind them and millions of dollars to make sure that this guy gets off, because they've again defended police officers before in the past and are known for such a thing. So we see money is involved in this case as well. And that's the sad part, is because a lot of people think, oh, well, when you're a defense attorney or when you're in law, the way that you make money as an attorney is by suing people. That's really the only way to make money. If you work in criminal law, you don't make money unless you're like this Eric Nelson guy, where you're working to get people off of crimes and getting paid millions of dollars to do so. The benefit for the prosecutor's office is that they get to move up in rank. The prosecutor may become a district attorney or a judge or attorney general even. It just moves up that way. Versus the other side, they just make more money. So this guy, he's making millions of dollars by representing Chauvin right now. And a lot of people think it's unfair because, you know, with my case, shit, I had to spend out of my pocket to get my attorney. I don't have millions of dollars to defend myself. You know what I mean? And most people don't, for that matter. He doesn't have a public defender, you know, representing him, which he has the ability to retain, but he has private counsel right now providing that defense for him. So it's sad that, again, we have money influencing our court system and making a precedence to where, again, if this guy is, you know, if he gets off, it pretty much sets a standard for the rest of the country to say to law enforcement, hey, you can do this, you can get away with it, and the public will just have to deal with it. You know what I mean?
I mean, New York already set the standard with Eric Garner.
Yes.
Eric Garner was executed live on video, and they got off. So these are snuff films. They're executing people in broad daylight, in front of witnesses, on video, and they're getting away with it. And you can clearly see the person in both videos dying.
Right.
And there's a point where someone's passing out. The body sits a certain way. And then there's a point where the body, when it's, without getting it too grotesque, basically when you're dead, you have no muscle control.
Right.
So when you're asleep, there still is some muscle control because you're alive and there's some reaction. So you can tell by the way the body's sitting from when you're going, you know, sleeping because you passed out versus like this person's dying. Additionally, while they're screaming out saying I'm dying, and their breath is getting more and more difficult, obviously you can tell this person is dying. To then continue with the move is intentional homicide. I said that with Eric Garner, and I'm saying with Derek Chauvin.
Yeah. It's despicable just to kind of be in a country to where you would think we as people have gotten to the point to where we're civil and can look at evidence and all come to the same conclusion. That's not the case right now. You have a legal system, a law system that says that specific personnel, i.e. law enforcers, are able to conduct themselves in a certain way in the community, that they are judge, jury, and executioner, and ask no, and there is no doubt about it, no question. You aren't able to refute it at all. And if you try to fight against it, it may lead to your own loss of life. Another thing about this trial is they're basically still dragging the character of George Floyd through the mud by saying he was on drugs. And, you know, we haven't gotten around to the prosecution side, to the defense side yet, but I'm pretty sure this is what they're going to bring up, like a toxicology report and, you know, his criminal history, et cetera, et cetera. And the same attempt happened with me to discredit me as a character, to say that I was disobedient and deserving of what happened to me. The same thing is happening now with, you know, Derek Chauvin. But there was one thing about my case that I wanted to bring up and talk to you about, because the one thing that disappointed me was the amount of responses that I received from the people that I thought would help me out the most. Like, I was very involved as a petitioner and volunteer to collect signatures to recall Gavin Newsom. And these are people that are, excuse me, anti-government, you know, they're anti-tyranny, and supporting of the rule of law under the United States Constitution. So I would think, if anything, those people would come to my defense. They did not, even though I reached out to them. the different groups that I had affiliated myself with to promote reopening the state. They did not come to my defense. And the Libertarian Party, a party that I had been dedicated to for over 3 years, 4 years, did not come to my defense. They still haven't. It was actually individuals within the party that did so, like Spike Cohen, who was the candidate for vice president of the United States as a Libertarian. He sent out a tweet, and that got a lot of attention to what was going on, brought a lot of attention to what was going on to me. Spike, I don't know where he is. He's somewhere on the East Coast. He don't live in California. You know what I'm saying? The California Libertarian Party itself did nothing. Angela McCardle, a libertarian for the chair of Libertarians of Los Angeles, she stepped up to create a write-in campaign where you would write letters to the judge to request leniency. So she put together this campaign, and thankfully for her, people like Spike and others, Daniel Berman, Dan Taxationist Theft Berman, got on board with sending letters to the judge to request that, he be lenient towards me. So I was very thankful for that because it got those people involved. But one person decided to write a letter saying that I should be prosecuted against, and I should be sent to jail, and I should be disciplined for breaking the law, even though it was a nonviolent crime, or if you want to call it a crime, even though there was no victim, which supposedly libertarians are, vehemently against is nonviolent crimes and the reduction of them and their prosecution. You know that as yourself as a libertarian, right? So this person in particular chose to write this letter against me. Yeah, that's who I'm talking about. Don't forget the dude that wrote the judge. That asshole, yeah. So he writes this letter. His name is Chuck Ham. And I called him out in particular, right? I called him out by name because I know Chuck Ham. Chuck Ham is a Libertarian Party member who actually helped promote my 2018 campaign and got me more attention then. So it caught me off guard completely that somebody I thought was an ally went out of their way to make sure that I would be sent to jail, taken away from my family, taken away from my son, my newborn son, and taken away from my livelihood simply because he felt like I needed to be disciplined for a non-violent crime. I wouldn't have done such if he wasn't an executive officer of the Libertarian Party of California. If he was just a regular member of the Libertarian Party, wouldn't be so offensive. But the fact that he's speaking out as a member of the executive community makes it alarming, because I would think that, again, the Libertarian Party would have came to my aid. They did not. So I wanted to ask you, what was your opinion, or what is your opinion about Chuck Ham, fuck Chuck, and him responding to, my prosecution in such a way, since you are a Libertarian Party member?
Yes, I am, and I've long been a fan of libertarian politics, as I understand them, and the ones that I adhere to. So whatever, you'd have to talk to me more in detail to find out the answers. But also, CalExit, the first political party to talk to us, was the Libertarian Party. We had 5 different Libertarian Party chapters up and down Central, Southern California, and we went to the Libertarian Southern California Maine Libertarian Annual Convention and presented. That was before anyone talked to us. So libertarians were definitely interested in the message. 5 different chapters. To answer is, I think it's classic political coverage. So he's a high-ranking libertarian. He's also a FBI former agent, or worked with the FBI, which makes me think he has some connections with law enforcement, which is fine. That's his industry. And so since he sponsored you and you're running, this sounds like, hey, Chuck, you better cover yourself and say, oh God, I'm so embarrassed to ever know this guy. So nobody says that you endorsed behaviors as it's interpreted that was, that were recorded on videos, right? So the Orange County prosecutors made a video clip of you, right, for the prosecution, and they showed on certain aspects of it, and they tried to paint you a certain way. And we were covering this. You showed me, like, here's the larger video, and here's the piece they covered, and they cut out the context. And so he's probably coming from that. He's probably talking to people who only saw that video. They're buying the narrative that the prosecutor wants. And this is probably, I need to probably back myself up because I'm the rising political star. I have some rank in the Libertarian Party. So let me make sure to show that I wouldn't endorse this by completely throwing Nick on the ground while he's down. And I think that's what he did. And I find that, especially because when he critiques you, and I thought it was very admirable the way that you handled it. You asked him if he said that.
Oh, and,
yeah. You didn't. A lot of people jump to assumptions. You didn't do that. Even when you're angry and you have every right to be, you're like, let me check first. I really appreciate that when somebody's with their most hot-headedness, you were very reasonable about it. But
I knew him by a nickname, but when this letter came, it was under his government name. So I had to make sure first, before I put him on blast. I don't want to embarrass myself.
Yeah, but you checked. That was great. So in the letter or essay that he posted critiquing you and saying that you should got the, I guess, he's basically tacitly endorsing the idea of a full 6-year term. He never said anything about the number of charges being egregious. He never said anything condemning a full 6-year term. And he never said anything about the idea for a libertarian to have the right to have their prosecution recorded and published to the public. I mean, it's the Libertarian Party, right? Government out of our way, transparency, see all this stuff. He should have at least he said nothing about that principle. So it was just slam on you, you're bad, you don't respect this, I can't be associated with you, with absolutely, in the one that I saw, no mention on, wow, 6 years for asking to have his trial filmed. That's not a little bit draconian, perhaps, extremist behavior? And then also the basic principle of having your trial filmed and able to be broadcast to the public, and during the time, especially now with coronavirus, and we're already going there, to completely say nothing about that at all.
Right.
I found to be indicative of a man who was purely motivated by covering his political career and was willing to do whatever it took to do that.
I want to ask you this as well, because
sure,
with Chuck Ham being a representative of the Libertarian Party, like I said, it's a bit appalling that the Libertarian Party itself has not come out officially to condemn what he said. There has not been any official acknowledgement whatsoever on the Libertarian Party from the Libertarian Party about what happened either. So I'm still waiting to receive any, some contact from them. But as it stands to me, since he is an active, officer for the Libertarian Party, and saying such things, because I'm actually on their website right now and I'm looking up, let's see, victimless crime. So I'll show you guys what it says on a Libertarian Party website about victimless crimes. Okay. Here's the website here, Libertarian Party of California. And one of their platform planks is on victimless crimes. It says, to commit a crime, one must infringe upon the rights of another. Victimless crime laws are a legislative attempt to forcibly limit the lifestyle choices of individuals. So it talks about all of these, the repeal of laws restricting the voluntary exchange of goods and different types of repeals and changes to the laws. But this last one, The immediate pardon and release, if incarcerated, of all persons convicted of any victimless crime not involving a violation of another's rights, the expunging of all arrest and conviction records related to such victimless crimes, in addition to the nullification of the laws defining such acts as crimes. So it's a hard line on saying that we don't like victimless crimes. If anything, we want to get rid of victimless crimes by informing jurors that they have the right to nullify those victimless crimes if they are forced to, adjudicate on such a thing. So with the Libertarian Party having this on their platform, someone such as Chuck Ham coming out and speaking against it, there's another contradiction by a major political party. And that's what these political parties have done, is they created this like smoke and mirrors to make it seem like they're on our side, when really they're not. And we had a discussion recently where we were talking about, me feeling like I'm politically homeless, and not applying the labeling of political parties on us as voters. The reason why I take that position is because they've proven that they failed the people in providing or in being that vehicle to help provide that change that we're looking for politically. The right has done that, of course, with their identity crisis, and so has the left through Gavin Newsom and, decades of proof of politics. But the Libertarian Party is yet to have that opportunity to prove so. But just me as an individual, I'm seeing that failure. So with you being a Libertarian Party member, I want to ask you, what is your position on, or what is your point of view of the stance that they've taken against me or towards me? Don't want to use any damning language.
I think that it's problematic to say, just as a baseline, and that it could go to being catastrophic. I do need to point out, my phone is going to die in about 6 minutes. I'm sorry.
Oh no! All right.
But I'm going to give you a great answer and knock it out of the park right now. So,
all right.
As somebody who's followed the Libertarian Party for a long time, and as somebody who likes the ideas that they've espoused, and somebody who, I fell in love with the party early on when they said, look, socially, you should be able to do whatever you want. Be LGBTQ, speak whatever language you want, do whatever you want. I really liked that. I felt that was in line with California values, the way that was presented to me. And then they said, we're just saying less government and taxes. Okay, well, I was an ex-Republican. It made sense to me. I left the Republicans because they didn't like the bigotry. That's the only reason. And the Libertarian Party, at least the ones that I met, that I was able to speak to, were very much like, be who you are, come from wherever you are, immigrate from wherever you are, do it, And I was like, okay, that makes sense to me. As I understood it, I'm sure there's other libertarians who think different stances. I think it's highly problematic, and I think it's very cowardly, and it seems reactionary. It seems like, here's a problem. Here's a major leader, a governor candidate, registered and a recall collector, and well-known and well-liked, and he didn't do anything wrong, and he stood for a libertarian principle, but, the cops don't like it. And so now we're actually going to say, well, are you going to stand with him because he's kind of at least somehow pushed it or didn't push it or whatever as a stance against the police, or they may interpret it that way. And so they don't want to be seen as being anti-police, which I'm sure this is. I mean, it's not. You're talking about the right. Exactly. You're talking about the right to have your trial broadcast to the public, especially now. It should be a no-brainer. And like you said, I don't think this would have happened in LA or, right, other counties. I think it was an Orange County thing. It's like a thing.
Drop the charges if it was LA,
So you have a high-ranking guy in the Libertarian Party who took a stance against you. If they deal with this now, it gets personal. Now they're going to have to pick sides. They're going to have to choose this officer or you. Let's say they go with you. They're going to have to take this officer. Then they're going to have to kick him out. And then he's going to probably burn bridges on his way out. So it's easier for them to simply say nothing and hope that you just stop talking about it or go away.
All right.
Right. Yeah. That's many people just go away and stop talking about it, or to not take a side against a high-ranking officer and against what would be perceived against the police. And short term, that is at least, I'm sure that it seems wise. The issue is that long term, this is where I'm saying it's problematic and it goes into potentially catastrophic, is that long term, they're setting themselves up for being able to say, we don't live by our principles.
Right.
Like, when it actually comes down to it, we won't even send a fucking tweet to back someone up ideologically. That's how timid and scared. And, you could do that if you were Green Party or kind of a progressive party, but when you're running on the right side at all, it's very much freedom and bravery and standing up, and especially the libertarians, standing up for justice and standing up for freedom. You're terrified, and that shows politically, which is completely against the marketing of your entire party. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm a tough guy, and I'm going to stand up for freedom. Whoa, what was that? Huh? Or this is what they're doing right now with you. Oh my God! Maybe he'll just go away and be quiet. Maybe the angry black man will be quiet. We can hope for that, right? We can hope for that, right? Right? That's okay. That's our strategic plan.
Right.
Okay. Do anything? Take any stance? And I would have had a lot of respect for them if they said, "Look, we don't like the way that Nick Wildstar, Governor Wild candidate, spoke to the police, and we repudiate that. But he's totally right, talking about you have the right as a person to ask for the public to witness your trial, especially during COVID. This is a principle that we should all stand for. We find it egregious that they would charge him with 6 years." That's one thing that blew me away. I was like, I could see at best this would be less than 1 year. They went with 6. I was like, okay, well, this is not whatever. This is punishment time.
Yeah, and excessive.
Punish him.
Extremely excessive. And you made a great point, because you would think they would want to come out and speak out on the violations based on principle, but they did not. Are you dying over there? Are you gonna or not dying?
I got about 2 minutes left. Sorry. Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry. I'm at my mom's. I put in a separate. I don't have all my gear. That's why I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry.
Because there was another thing I wanted to talk to you.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, totally.
Let's see if we can do it as quickly as we can. Yeah. Because I did tell you about a personal situation as well, that when I first joined the Libertarian Party, there was a high-ranking Libertarian that, introduced himself to me. And upon meeting him and my wife, in front of my wife, and in front of his wife, he basically said, he made a joke that was very distasteful. And he said, I'm very glad I get to meet you and that you're here, because now I can say the word nigga and not feel bad about it. Okay? And I told you about this, and I kind of put it in your ear as to what should I do, and I was asking you about it, but I came to the conclusion that I should probably out this person, because as you know, as well as I do, your political, future, your aspirations is all based on your reputation. And we've gotten accustomed to where we know nothing about these people's past, their records, or their reputation as a person, period. And then we get in and we let them get into office, and they're horrible people, and that's because we didn't take the time to actually properly vet them to see if they're worthy to serve and represent we the people. And this person in particular, I would feel awful if he got to represent me as governor, because he's planning on running for governor as a Libertarian Party. And if you people know him, his name is Jeff Hewitt. He was a former mayor of Cali Mesa and is a Riverside County supervisor. As much as Jeff Hewitt has done to help me and promote me as a candidate, I would be appalled if he were to actually be elected governor, knowing this about him. I would never vote for him as governor, knowing this about him. but because the reputation part and his position, the Libertarian Party will never denounce him. They'll never denounce Chuck Ham. And it's sad because if we want to be able to have some representatives that are going to be standing on a principle, following through on that principle, as well as, again, making sure that we have a authentic representative, then we shouldn't be supportive of them simply because they have name recognition or are able to get donations and funding from from people that want to see them get in office. And that's what it's all about. It's just like this self-serving type of desire. They only want to get in office so they can be in office and say I'm in office and have this hat that they wear and feel special, when really they don't care. So
white supremacy thing to say. That's a white supremacy thing to say. I'm half Mexican. The half is from Tejano. That's from Texas. I visited. They do that all the time. The Mexicans down there all the time. They'll say spick, and I don't even really want to get into it, but they'll use that in common talk, not in an angry way. Just talking to Mexicans and using terms that are derogatory and mean, talking about them, talking about other Mexicans to the Mexicans there. And it's a way of dominance. I can use terminology and language that belittles your entire race and group just as casual chat. I'm not even angry about it, just what I do, because
very underhandedly,
That's it's worse, because when a bigot uses language like that in an angry manner, they're threatened. You actually have some power, and they're worried about you screwing with it because of their bigotry, and so they're threatened. They're attacking. The very casual racist who uses terms like that is not threatened by you, but feels that it's important to remind you that you are a permanent. You're never going to be first class.
Right.
So I'll help you out, but just know you ain't. I'm white, and you're here. Okay, white, white, you're not. So just putting that out there, as long as you're cool and you get it and you're not pushing against that, you'll understand that. They do this in Texas all the time. It's why my family left, and I still have family that tolerate it and live there. In fact, most of the Mexicans that I'm from live there. Only one branch out of like 7 families left. All the rest of my cousins are still there, still putting up with it. I told you that story about how I went to Dumas, and I started getting caught up in doing it. I was 17, 16, and I was saying, oh, look at these stupid Mexicans, and I'm Mexican, because my Mexican cousins were doing it, and they were pointing at other cousins, and the only thing that stopped me was my mom, who's from California, and she goes, no, do you understand? Like she knew that as a teen boy I didn't understand the institutional racism and what it was, so she just put to, don't do this or I'll hurt you badly. Thanks, Mom. Good call. Later on, I began to understand what it's doing. It's the worst type of racism and white supremacy. It's the very casual. I know I'm first class, and I know you're never going to be there. And just wanted to make sure you know that, so that you're permanently in underclass forever. While they do it the harshest to African American people, there are places where they do it to Latinos. Not as bad, not as many places, but there are places it happens. And even here in Fresno, there are Hmong people, Southeast Asian people, and they have, like they treat the Japanese and the Koreans and the second generation Asians way different than the cops treat the Hmong people. You know what I'm talking about. So there are other groups who have this target on their back.
Oh yeah.
For whatever reason. And yeah.
And the one thing about, people like Jeff Hewitt is they feel like, they can make comments and it not come back to bite them later on, and they can make uncomfortable jokes and, ones that if you or I to make without that amount of status would definitely not be welcome anymore in those circles, So it's sad that your position gives you that audacity to where you feel like I can, flaunt my power and not be reprimanded because of it, you know?
And then, and I commend you. I commend you. It takes a lot of courage to do it. People think it's easy. It's not when you actually give a shit about your reputation and you want to continue to move up. It's not an easy decision when you actually have a career. Now, if you haven't gone anywhere and you don't have anything invested, oh, I tell the man to screw himself. Okay, great. But you're not losing anything either.
Exactly.
Actually, no, consciously you're losing something. That's real courage. And to be able to do it and go, I'm just going to ride this out. I did that recently myself, nowhere near what you went through. But I live in Camarillo right now. Most everybody's a working class Mexican. There's one hill, and it's full of rich Asian people and rich white people, which is great. They worked hard. But I went for a jog, and I was kind of sweaty, and my hair wasn't right, and I was wearing an athletic outfit, and I pulled over to make a phone call. Within 5 seconds, there was a cop on me. Why are you here? Who are you? What are you doing? We had suspicious reports. Suspicious reports about what? Oh, we got a call about you. I've been here 5 seconds. How's that even possible? And so I talked to my parents, and they're like, they live here, and I respect that. But there's kind of this worldview of, no, you don't need to say anything. You don't need to make a fuss. And I was like, fuck that. I'm going to make a video, and I can't prove it, but I'm going to point out this is Camarillo. I looked like a working class Mexican in the rich white Asian part of town. Nobody but my mom looks Mexican around here. I saw one dude, my mom and one other dude that looks like Mexican people on the white rich hill. Everybody else is lily white or Asian. I'm her son. It's night. I'm looking a little, my hair's messed up, a little bit messy. I'm sweaty. I'm wearing athletic clothes, kind of a torn, beat up shirt because I'm going for a jog.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not worried about how I look. What are you doing here, buddy? Whoa, what's going on? And I'm like, now I can't prove this is that, but
Right, exactly. It's suspect. And that goes back to our original discussion about looking and behaving a certain way in a, a white supremacist nation. It's sad that a lot of white people are unfortunately having to deal with this because, it's hundreds of years of oppression being imposed upon a group of people by people that aren't here anymore. So they're having to deal with a system that they didn't build that was founded on racism, and they're seeing the collapse of that happening. Of course, it was bound to happen. If I come into your house and it's a hostile takeover, Marcus, get down on the bed, and leave the house. I just now took your property and called it my own. At some point, I can expect that you may come back. You're not going to be happy about that, and if you don't come back, maybe your kids may come back or your kids' kids or something like that. I can't live my life contently knowing that I did something harmful to you, and at some point I need to rectify that, in order for there to be peace. There has there has not been any reconciliation between Black and white people in this nation, and we're seeing that happen now with all of the race relations in this country. And that's another reason why I let people know you need to have a Black man as governor in California.
There's never been one.
There's never been one.
That's a shame for California. When I tell people that, they look, every Californian I've told that does this.
You should be embarrassed. Why hasn't there been any one?
It's embarrassing.
The ones here,
California, we go on and on and on about all this shit. We've never had a Black governor. Right. It's embarrassing, dude. It's embarrassing. California, I love you. I love you. Not a good look. We should at least get one. Okay, America's had one. We have nothing. You're letting America show better diversity than you.
A little bit of history before I let you go. This is Peter Hardeman Burnett. He was the first governor of California. White man. Okay?
My dog. I know this dude. Yeah.
First instituted governor by the American government, since there were governors of California before it was hostily taken over in the early 1800s, mid 1800s. So this guy was the first governor. He was governor for a little over a year. All right. He was racist and prejudiced and a bigot and everything that you would think a politician of today, would not be elected, but they are. He was exactly that, and he was elected governor. And within a year, he resigned because people didn't like him, And so when you talk about
not for racism,
yeah, we didn't want any racism. We didn't want any prejudice. We didn't want any enslavement of any type of people, whether it be black, brown, or whatever the case may be, economically, any type of that. This is supposed to be a free country. So when you have people like this guy, be instituted by the establishment, then it's not going to help us ever. And if we want to change that sordid past of ours, we have to do something in the future moving forward to change that identity, and that's what I'm saying. We can correct all of the race relations in our state. We can correct the abuses of police authority. We can correct the unaccountability of our government officials by simply making sure you elect Wildstar for governor. Mr. Burnett looks very happy, gentleman, in that picture, right? Look at how happy.
Totally, with your permission, Governor, if I may give one last statement before I rock it out of here, if that's okay. Okay. Governor Wildstar is talking about, as being an African-American man himself, the difficulties African-American people face with policing. But you shouldn't look at it that way. You should look at it the way that John Kennedy said, where an injustice to one is an injustice to all. The fact is that you have a police system still built on institutional racism. That guy Burnett was a racist. And as we talked about with the Black Lives Matter law that was ripped apart at the last minute, it was changing a police code written into the California Constitution in the 1800s. So the immunity for the police that allows them to get away with killing African-American and sometimes Southeast Asian, and then some cities like Bakersfield and downtown LA, where African-American males and Latino males get killed in extrajudicial killings at the same rate. Yes, Latinos, it's something you need to be taking way more seriously, Latin people. Just saying. Gente, orale. Okay? It's not just, oh, be nice to the African-American community. Sometimes it's the same thing. And that's the whole idea, is that you have these laws, you have these systems, and not every cop's racist, but you have these systems built upon this. And then they still prey upon these people. And they're taught this way. And it goes back to the 1800s. I mean, the Black Lives Matter law was going to reform a law from the 1800s, folks, not 1950, not 1970. Going back to early white supremacist governor California period. We're still operating on the law literally today. Right. And you had them say, no, we're keeping this racist 1800 law intact like in 2018 and 2019. So it is a continuation of this institutional racism. Right. We can allow certain people to get by, but we cannot allow the system. And then that's why I think you all saw it with the Libertarian Party. I'm sure that guy has acted like a white supremacist in front of other people. I highly doubt you're the first person, Governor Wildstar, to see it. And that's it. Love you guys.
Love you. All right. I think his phone just died finally. So it's just me, but I appreciate Marcus Ruiz Evans, president of Yes California and Cal Exit activist, for being here and having this long ass discussion with me to talk about all of these things, because I had a lot I wanted to get off of my chest over the past few weeks. It's just been kind of boiling up inside me. And as I said, at this point in time, I'm not accepting no more bullshit, y'all. No more fake people. No more lying for the camera. No more smiling and faking it. We can't do that anymore. We can't afford to have this type of environment that we're creating, because we've dealt with it long enough. Our ancestors before us have suffered through it, And now if we don't do anything about it, our children will be living in that environment, the next generation. And if we want to end that generational suffering, then we have to do something about it now. We have to say nothing less than what we deserve as human beings, okay? And that's to be treated with dignity and respect. That may be difficult for a lot of people to just understand. Fundamentally, they feel like others may need to be treated as subordinates and as um, people that need to be controlled in some way. But that's having a supremacist mindset, one where you feel like others are inferior and they need to be used in a way to where um, somebody else's will is being achieved because of that. I don't care if you smoke weed, just like I do. I don't care if you drink. I don't care if you participate in any other pastime pleasure of your choice. I don't care about if you own guns. I don't care about if you're a homosexual. I don't care if you've had an abortion. I don't care about none of that stuff. All I care about is if you will let me live free, then I'll let you live free. And I think everybody out there can agree with that. Live and let live. We talk about the motto. When do we start living by it? When do we start having a society that's reflective of that instead of one that's being dominating and tyrannical? We got to stop it, we still understand you, and you good. But he says, as a white man, I wanted to read this comment out loud to y'all, because Euban says he's a white man. He's walked with BLM out there in Phoenix, and it's authoritarianism that they're fighting against. That's what we want. We need to combine our efforts, and that's what I was talking about on the Rebel Radio show too. I said, hey, we took them people from BLM and Proud Boys and the Boogaloo crew and whoever else out there is that wants to get rid of a government that is not acting within the confines of the United States Constitution. They feel like they have a government that's being abusive of its authority and is being overbearing, is being overtaxing, and does not represent them. We all came together to uproot that establishment, to really drain the swamp. Then we'd all be happy. We'd be much more happier than we are right now. We wouldn't have so much strife between us, and we definitely would be living much more peacefully. Which is the opportunity I'm trying to create by becoming the next governor of California. So if you guys like a little bit of what I'm talking about here, maybe a lot of it, hopefully, yes, just step on that damn snake by hitting my website up right now, wildstar2022.com. Let me bring that up for you guys as well. So you can see what I'm talking about. Here's my website, wildstar2022.com. Please check it out. Visit it now because, as I said, I am a candidate, a declared candidate for California governor. I've been doing interviews. I've been doing debates. You can hit up the Secretary of State's website and you'll see my name right there. It is official. You can go on Wikipedia. You can Google me. I am a candidate for California governor. May be striking and unbelievable to y'all, but it is true. So if you want to take back our state and make it reflective of one for that we the people want, please visit my website, fill out a pledge card, because I am a completely grassroots candidate. I'm not funded by big banks, Wall Street, special interests, unions. Got to run this down every time because I'm letting you guys know that's who really runs politics, okay? You know it. You know it all too well. You hear AOC talk about it. You hear Bernie talk about it. You hear Trump talk about it. You know what I'm saying? You hear all of these politicians talk about how money is the biggest influencing factor in shaping our government. if we want to combat that, we got to put our money where our mouth is. That is not going to help us. And if you can't put your money where your mouth is, definitely put your body and activity and your energy where it could go. So fill out one of these pledge cards if you'd like to join Team Wildstar as a volunteer to help go door to door if need be. Put some signs around town, help me out on social media, do some fundraising, anything and everything. Fill out this pledge card to get involved with Team Wildstar. And also, like I said, put some money where your mouth is by visiting my website, hitting this donate button, and making a contribution to my campaign. Okay, so any and every little bit helps. Right here, you can make your contribution and fill out all of this stuff because it has to be recorded with the fair practice political committee, whatever the case may be, FPIC compliant, all that good stuff. Make a contribution through this portal, official portal for my website and campaign for California governor. Okay, and if you guys want to get something for your money, head on over to taxationistheft.info and enter code GOWILD 2022. As you can see right there, all the Taxation is Theft products available from my man Dan, Taxation is Theft, candidate running for Texas governor. If you guys want to help him, help me, and help we the people, head on over to his website, taxationistheft.info, and enter my code GOWILD2022 to get a discount, as well as, again, like I said, make a contribution to my campaign as well. And you can also head on over to his other website, Nug of Knowledge, for all of you hemp smokers out there. If you want to get your toke on, head on over to Nug of Knowledge, some of the highest potency CBD products available on the market. And yeah, you can, again, make a contribution towards the liberty movement by making a purchase of one of these products and using my code Wildstar right there. Okay, so make a purchase of one of the products, enter my code Wildstar, and you'll be making a contribution to my campaign. Okay, and for those out there that want to continue to help me in, again, getting rid of his ass, Chris Newsom, we got over 2 million signatures, y'all. It's happening. All right, we don't need to collect any more signatures, but we again want to give him a run for his money. So make a contribution to my website today, or to my campaign for California governor through my website today. And let's bring back liberty to California. And if you want to make sure that we have a fighting chance with the law system, head on over to GoFundMe.com/FreeWildstar/ my wife is going to give me. Might as well. Free Wildstar right here, okay? Make a contribution to my efforts to fight against those charges that I told you guys earlier about that I got found guilty for contempt of court. I want to beat those charges. I want to make sure that we, the people of California, have the opportunity to exercise our rights freely without being accosted by law officials and those swore to uphold the United States Constitution, but don't. We got to fight the law system through the law system. And unfortunately, it costs money to do so. So please head on over to GoFundMe.com, Free Wildstar, make a contribution so I can get an appeal attorney and fight these charges, make it case law, so all of the people of California won't ever have to go through what I went through, okay? And there's more information here about the story, what happened to me, if you want to find out more. And as I said, can make that contribution today, okay? So again, thank you to all my beings of light, art, culture, and knowledge for being here. Like Euban, who says, do you need an internet troll and surgeon for the campaign? I need that, definitely. And yeah, you can throw me some of that stimmy money too, pay it forward by making a contribution to my campaign, definitely. If you got it and can afford it, I appreciate it, definitely, because it helps me afford swag like this. This is one of my shirts for my 2018 campaign. for governor. Hold on, let me remove that so you guys can see. Be one in a million. The revolution needs you. Hashtag bring back liberty. I'm still using bring back liberty, so you can enter that hashtag. Matter of fact, see, that's how you make it timeless. I didn't put a date on there, thankfully, or else I wouldn't be able to be aware of this right now. So I still want you to be one in a million and join the revolution to help bring back liberty to the state of California. So if you want to help me be able to afford printing up more shirts like this, and the lawn signs and bumper stickers and all of that good stuff, YouTube video promotions and Facebook ads, please make a contribution today. Every little bit helps. And we need to come together to make this happen, because you're going to have people pouring in money from all over the country into his campaign to make sure he can stay governor from the Democratic Party, as well as, other Republican candidates who have national attention, and again, are going to be spending tens of millions of dollars just to get a job that only pays, $100K. Or a little under that, 200,000, which I'll also be changing as well as the next governor. I'll only be taking the $60,000 salary. So if you want to save some money already by hiring me as the next governor, I would greatly appreciate it and will be truly honored. So thank you all for being here. All of the comments, all of you guys, Euban, Tom Shoggy, some shout outs, Hard Body, Yeshuan, Wes Holmes, all of you guys, JB, much love to you. Thank you for dropping all of the comments. And if you didn't drop any comments, no problem. Next time, be here and let's talk more soon. I'll be dropping another Governor Wildstar exclusive soon. So be sure, like I said, to subscribe and get a notification on when that happens. So until next time, you guys, take care. Long live liberty, y'all. I'm up out of here. Peace.